This is Real Talk with Jamez King on 5609 Radio.
Oh, let's talk. Real Talk with Jamez King. Oh, let's talk. Real Talk with Jamez King.
Real Talk is bringing you the news, interviews, food reviews, and so much more with your boy, Jamez King on 5609 Radio.
Oh, let's talk. Real Talk with Jamez King. Oh, let's talk. Real Talk with Jamez King.
All right, y'all. Welcome to a episode of Real Talk with Jamez King L. I am your host, Jamez King L. Today we outside. It's real nice outside, so we outside. You know what I mean? It's another day on Main Street. Today I want to talk to, I guess, everybody. And what I wanted to say today is let go. Let go of everything that bothers you. Whoever done you wrong, whoever hurted you, whatever time you had to do, whatever woman left you, whatever man left you, you know what I mean, depending on who's watching, let it all go, you know, and use it as experience so you won't repeat whatever steps there were that made you unhappy. Life is too short to be carrying all that post-traumatic stress in your life. Because that's a disorder, right? Life is what you perceive it to be. Either, all right now, yes, yes. What you think? He asked me about making the video. It has a good one. But, you know, if you've been through hell, you owe yourself heaven. You've been through hell, you owe yourself heaven, right? Just because you've been through things don't mean you got to continuously go through the same types of things you've been through. You have options, you know, you have choices. And a lot of times when we practice forgiveness, it's usually forgiving a system, forgiving an oppressor, forgiving somebody that has harmed us or hurt our family. But the most important person that we should practice to forgive is ourselves. Forgive you. Forgive you for all the times that you allowed yourself to stay in situations that degraded you, that harmed you. I thought they was gonna share the whole scene with me. Cause you know, you can't control a lot of times what happens to you from others, right? But in a lot of cases, you can control how long you allow that strenuous relationship to last. You don't want to keep crying about how someone did you wrong, did you harm. You know, it's more important to be able to talk about how you won't allow the harm to happen to you any longer. You know, correct your past discretions. And sometimes you gotta change who you are around. Because a lot of times we fall in love with who harms us the most. You know, it's just something that's been going on for generations. You might have a crew, a gang, or whatever you down with, you know what I'm saying? And you look at it like I'm locked in, even though half of these guys mean me no good. But I'm keeping it real by standing in this. Way longer than I know I should. It's not good. So you did that to yourself, you know? You put yourself in that situation. You know, now if you were forced into the situation, then that's a whole different story. But in a lot of situations, you have the ability to change your situation and circumstance. Wa alaikum assalam. So we have to forgive ourselves. You know? Give yourself. I know it sounds simple, but a lot of times you look in that mirror and you don't like who you see looking back at you. You got to forgive that. Because when you do, or once you do, everything else gets easier. Because that's the hardest person to forgive. It's easy to forgive everybody else. I might have done you wrong. It's easy for you to forgive me. But it's hard for you to forgive yourself for the things you've done to others and to yourself. Y'all might ask yourselves, why am I talking about this? Well, the sole reason is because when you carry around that type of guilt and bad energy, I guess you could say, it might lead to you striking out on somebody else. Because sometimes when we hurt others, we really internalizing everything we're saying to the other that we're hurting. You know? Because think about it. Even after you cut somebody out real good, because in our communities, we cuss each other out, right? A lot of times, after that person done walked off, went about their business, even if you beat them up, or whatever you might have done, after it's all said and done, you're still upset. You're still carrying that for hours, sometimes days, sometimes years. And that hurts you. That person, you might have beat them up, shot them up, whatever you might have done, they healed or they went to heaven. You, on the other hand, you're still carrying that baggage. And that's because you didn't forgive yourself. See, once you forgive yourself, then you can love yourself. And then once you forgive and love yourself, you can forgive and love others genuinely. That's when forgiveness is actually a real thing. And I'll never say forget, but I will say take every life experience as a lesson. And the pain you went through, that was the tuition amount. You know what I'm saying? The pain you went through, time you served behind it, whatever the case is, whatever the repercussions are that you suffered from, that was the cost of the tuition. So now you done paid the cost, you gained the experience, then the time comes to graduate and apply your education to life. Pardon me. That's what happens when you're smoking these good old cigars. You know, life is short, you know. And something I want to mention before I end this episode. That's water. It's not moonshine or nothing like that. It's water. Is live and let go. Live and let go. And to all the brothers that grew up in the streets, put a lot of work in and all that. Once you decide that you're leaving the streets and you're going to raise your babies or protect your family or whatever it is, make lifestyle changes, leave the street mentality with you, because those rules only apply to when you engaging in the street. Once you let the streets go, let all of it go. Let it all go. Thank me later. Because sometimes we just carry old baggage. Look at that old baggage as being outdated, right? You know, you rocking penny loafer baggage in 2026. It's outdated. Let it go. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this last point, right? It was given to me by my great uncle Jerry. I was carrying some luggage, right? From when I was about a teenager. And at the time I was about 30 or something like that, or close to it. And I was going at it with one of my siblings about something he did to me when I was a teenager, like, you know what I'm saying, rather was a beating or whatever. It wasn't nothing real crazy, like, you know, he was just I had some real rough and tough brothers, right? And my uncle, he was like, you know what your problem is? So I'm all feeling myself in my emotional bag, and I said, I don't have no problem. He looked at me, he said, you want me to tell you what your problem is? So I said, what's my problem, Unc? Tell me what's my problem. And he said to me, he said, how old were you when this happened? I said, I was like 14 to 15. He said, you how old now? And I said, I think I was about 30. He said, your problem is you carrying that shit from when you were 14 at 30. You are over twice that age, and that shit still hurting you like as if it happened to you today. That's your problem. And I was always one that had a lot to say. But that was one of those times all I could do was shake my head and then scratch my head and shake my uncle's hand. And he gave me that side eye like the OGs used to do, and he slid off. And ever since that day, not gonna say I changed everything since that day, but ever since that day, I had a tool in my tool belt that I was missing that could fix a lot of the loose screws. You know, some of the screws were rusty, so they took a little longer to tighten up, right? But that science he gave me on that situation, it applied to me to a lot of other issues that I dealt with since then. So now, I always practice leaving that shit in the past. Because just one more thing I'm gonna add on. A lot of times we want everybody to see how much we change, right? We want everybody to see how much we change. I'm not the same person. Well, I'm gonna tell you something that nobody ever told me, but I'm gonna tell you. The person that hurt you at that young age or whatever that was, they're not the same person no more neither. You mad at a person or a mentality that and a time that no longer exists. So, with that being said, I am you, you are me, we are everything. Islam, peace and love.